Amy, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to hear your thoughts on single parenting and what it feels like to be a single parent in 2020. I know that being a single parent is definitely, it's not easy, right? And it can be very stressful on a mental health and financial level. So I'm glad that we get to talk about this topic with you today.
Yeah, and I think it is so much more stressful too with the pandemic going on and
Right.
the world's like changing so much that it's really hard to stay centered and think about yourself and make yourself a priority when you're like so nervous for your
Right.
health and your kids and all those things. So absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on what is it like dating as a single parent in 2020? I mean, how was it different from single parenting, say, 10 or 20 years ago?
I think back in the day, I think, maybe our parents' parents grew up in a time where marriage was like the next step, the thing that you're supposed to do. And there was like, you loved, but you didn't really have clear understanding of your own identity. And you got married really young too, right? And
Hmm.
so I think that's kind of resulted in why there's been, midlife crises and divorce rate, being high because people start waking up and going, who am I and why am I in this marriage? So I think the difference though today in this modern day and the single parents I work with, they actually are more in tune with themselves. They're interested in learning about, hey, who am I? What are my values? And I have my own identity. I have my own job. I have my own life. How do you add value to my life? And that's a different shift. And it's not like this rush to get remarried. It's more like, let's be a team and see if we're a good fit for each other. I think that's the difference. More mindfulness. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So they're more self-aware and
Yes.
that they infuse that into their parenting style.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they're doing it, with their children and making sure that they're putting their children first in the process, and that's what I've seen in the dating world for sure.
Okay. Okay, that's very positive. Um, And what are the biggest challenges that your single parent clients face when they're trying to meet new people?
The hardest thing that I see is like when people get out of a very traumatic divorce or a breakup and they don't heal. They don't go do the process of the inner work and, dealing with some of the traumatic events that they went through and process it, right? And so they end up just putting themselves out there again, hoping that they'll land a partner, but the cycle starts over again and they end up in a dead end relationship.
Mhm.
So I think the biggest problem is when you've encountered something like a divorce and a breakup, and there's a lot of emotions that we need to face and own and work through before we jump into another relationship.
Right. And obviously their dating pool becomes a bit smaller, right? Because there are some partners who would potential partners who would not accept someone who has a kid.
Yeah, I think that sometimes it can be difficult as a single parent putting yourself out there. Some people are afraid to even mention that they have children because they don't
Mhm.
want to get judged on. But in reality, you want your pool to be small no matter what. You don't want to be so broad to the point where anyone can enter your door. You have to be authentic, real, own that you're a single parent and you're looking for love, and the person that is meant to be in your life should want to ingratiate that and support you. And most of the time, there are single parent groups out there. There are single parent meetups. There are online groups that are supportive. So there's communities out there that can support you. You don't have to go at it alone, for sure.
Okay. And what are some important criteria that single parents should have when they search for a long-term partner?
Well, number one, we all parent differently. And it's really important for you to get an understanding of the person that you're dating or talking to, what their parenting style is. What does that look like? And then the other issue, and one of the major reasons for divorces and breakups, are communication, um, lack of communication, actually. And so you need to find out, like, number one, what are your communication skills like? What do you need to work on? And then find the person that matches it. And that's going to be very helpful. One of the things I do in my program, like my conscious dating program, is talk about knowing your non-negotiables. These are your deal breakers in a relationship. They're very black and white. There's no gray area. But it's like, do you want more kids or not? Right? And if I wanted more kids and I was going on a date with a guy that didn't want more kids, that's a deal breaker for me. I need to know that up front. And I'm not going to be ashamed to talk about it in the first couple of dates, because I need to know not to waste my time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the main thing, I think, when you're talking about criterias, is getting clear of your own criterias that
Mhm.
you, in order for a relationship to work for you and the partner you're bringing in.
Right. And I spoke with a single parent, and she said that one of the things that she looks for that's unique to her situation is that, can this person be a good parent figure to my kid?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a major question you need to ask yourself. I have a dating red flags checklist, and that's one of the questions. Uh, do I see this person being a great mentor to my kids? And if
Mhm.
I can't say yes to that, there's no point. There's no point in continuing, because you're not trying to change a person when you date them. You want to take them for who they are, not their potential.
Exactly. Exactly. Nice. This was so great, Amy. Thank you again, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.